Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk Rates and Repeat with your hosts Gary Lai and Queeny Duong.
Hello, hello.
What's going on?
I'm excited.
Well, this one is pretty interesting, right? It's a short story, but I think it's really relevant. Today we're going to be talking about co-ops. So today's story for the Chaos Corner, I'm going to start reading it. So it's from one of my partners again. And I remember this person too, this specific transaction, because my friend actually referred this guy to me. He didn't wind up using me.
I keep hearing he wound up abusing me, but I'm like, okay, it sort of makes sense too.
I felt abused because of the fact that I helped him out so much, and then you know how it is, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'll read the story. So it's a co-op transaction where the co-op attorney wouldn't answer emails for weeks. Even the management company couldn't get in touch with their own attorney. I finally drove to the attorney's office where it was revealed from her secretary that the attorney was involved in a serious car accident. 2 more months went by, and they finally appointed a paralegal to take on the files. But they still couldn't bring us to closing. For months, this co-op building couldn't close on anything due to the lack of communication. I contacted the co-op's board's governing attorney for weeks, but they insisted they only dealt with the litigation issues and not the closings, which was fine, right? You have different attorneys for different things.
Mm-hmm.
I provided a timeline and proof of how long the emails went unanswered. Another month went by, and the governing attorney's office finally took on the backload of work. They are now also the co-op's closing attorney to this day. The entire transaction took 434 days from contract acceptance to closing.
Okay.
That's chaos right there.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely, that affects more than you can imagine. But my question is, like, I don't really understand how that works in terms of when you're a co-op attorney. In my mind, if I have an attorney representing a deal and that attorney is not responsive, et cetera, I would just switch attorneys, right?
Well, this is the co-op attorney. You can't switch co-op attorneys, right? And
that's my question. Also, like, how does that work?
Yeah, this is not a New York condo. This is a New Jersey condo. I'm sorry, North Bergen co-op. Yeah, so it's just amazing to me the fact that they had like one attorney there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, is there nobody else? Is this like a mom and pop firm, or is she the only attorney?
But I still don't understand why you can't switch co-op attorneys and hire a new firm, right? Because at the end of the day, what if the attorney, what if they go out of business? What if they move out of the state? What if they retire, right? Like, there has to be a protocol in when a co-op wants to get a new attorney. And I understand the co-op probably doesn't want to just fire this attorney knowing that he's in a car accident and all that stuff, right? Completely sympathize for that. But then for things to run smoothly from now until recovery, you can't just put everything on pause because of that. But I guess they could. You know, co-ops are infamous for doing whatever they want. So maybe the co-op's just like, okay, well, the attorney's not available, so we all wait.
Yeah, the co-op, and this co-op attorney was probably charging them like a pretty low fee. So they're like, oh, let's keep her, right? They probably didn't want to like move somewhere else where it was going to be a lot more cost and things like that. It's just crazy to me, though, that it just went on for weeks without closing. Like, not only it impacts everything. So I feel like, I feel sorry that she got into an accident, obviously, right?
Of course,
that's horrible. But at the same time, like, you're putting a bunch of people's lives on hold. Like,
because what if the seller needs to sell in order to buy? What if the seller needs to sell because they're in a bad financial place? What if the buyer needs to buy because their lease is up and they're not renewing and now they're going to be homeless, right? Because sometimes, you have to give notice. You can't just, like, leave if you're renting. Things like that, right? Like, there could be so many reasons why a transaction needs to be dealt with in a timely manner, or at least not last a year and a half.
Bro, 434 days. And I remember this client because, like I said, I spoke to the client, pre-approved him. I did a bunch of these, like, late night phone calls, everything like that. He didn't use me because, he wanted to use his bank. He was like, oh, I trust my bank. Their rates should be comparable to yours. In actuality, like, the rate that I had was like 3/8 lower, and I was just like, okay, I don't know why you're going over there, but it is what it is. And I remember
Yeah.
because like he was buying in the same building. He already lived in the co-op building, right? That was amazing to me because you already know the co-op board, you know everybody involved. The fact that he couldn't even get the co-op board to like switch and rush it, and it still took 434 days. To me, that's crazy. It became
Yeah.
an ongoing joke between me and my friend because every single time we'd go out, we'd go golf or do something like meet up for lunch or something like that. It'd always be like, so how's his XYZ doing? And he's like, oh my God.
Or
Oh,
like, hey, did you beat that record yet?
it just kept going on and on and on, and it was not the good thing. But I mean, I guess that goes on to our main topic, right? Co-ops,
Yeah.
right?
They
Like
can do whatever they want to
they
do.
can
I
do
mean,
whatever
that's
they
kind
want.
of that is a co-op thing. They could literally like I had a not one, several co-op deals, obviously not as extreme as this one where it lasted this long and the delays were this massive.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had other ones where the co-op attorney is just like, well, I'm not available. So we're just going to have to wait till next month. And now the
Yeah,
sellers, the buyers, everyone's like waiting. Like they need to move, they need to close. Everyone's ready, the bank's cleared. It's literally just the co-op being like, well, my schedule's not freed up for another 3 weeks. So we're just gonna have to schedule it then. And there, like that was verbatim how he would relay this message as well. Not like,
mm-hmm.
hey, I'm really booked, I don't think I can. It was just like, well, I'm just not ready. So we have to wait.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so why don't we really go over what I guess co-ops, right? The difference between co-ops and condos, right? Because some people that listen, like they might not have co-ops. They're like, what is that over here, right?
All right, yeah, co-op is a cooperative building, right?
It's a very unique ownership structure that is, I mean, I don't know of too many areas outside of the tri-state that offer co-ops. Do you? I mean, maybe overseas, like England, I know that, but I don't know of anywhere here.
I feel like
Oh,
there's
Maryland. I know Maryland does have it. I remember Maryland has it. Maryland and DC.
I don't know why I want to say I feel like Florida has it too. Let me fact check that real quick. But it's on a very like it's not like they have it the way New York has it, right? It's like there's like two or something like that.
Yeah. Well, so let's say, okay, so what is a co-op, right? So a co-op is a form of ownership where you're not really owning real property. You're owning stock shares. And those stock shares allocate a certain space within a building that you get to occupy. But it's not real property like a condo or like a single family. So in essence,
They can
sometimes,
they say it's not real property, but just to clarify, this is still
yeah, you're
an
still living
apartment
there.
that you are living in. It's just the ownership of it.
Yeah.
You're not owning real property like the way they record it on title. It's more like you're an owner in a business.
Yeah, and it's not really yours because you literally have to get permission to do anything.
From a co-op board.
Yeah, there was a co-op in Midtown when I was working for one of the banks as a loan officer. I remember speaking to them, and they were like, the co-op, like you have to literally get permission from the co-op board just to hang up like pictures. I was like, no. So it's just so that in essence is you don't own it. Like if you own a condo, you do whatever you want.
And who comes up with these rules, right? Like what you need to get board approval for, what you don't. It's the board that comes up with it. So there's a handful of elected board members who live in the building that pretty much holds the power. Like they're responsible for also maintenance, right? It's not just like you have to go to them for approval and for authoritative reasons only. They're also responsible for making sure the financials of the building is good. They're keeping track of the budget. The building, which is being run as a business, is being run sufficiently, right? So there is a job required of the board. They're not just there just to be like, okay, I approve you to do this, but I don't approve you to do that, although that is also part of their duties, which is, if I wanted to paint the wall, I would likely have to get board approval for that. And then some people may think like, okay, then why don't you just bring paint in and clean, paint the wall? Well, yeah, if I'm personally painting the wall and I just have to buy a bucket of paint and a paintbrush, sure. But if I want to paint the walls of my apartment in a co-op, and I hire people to come in, they're gonna see these people walking in with a ladder and et cetera, et cetera. And if I didn't get prior approval, they will then reach out to me, and say, hey, we didn't approve you to do this. There's a penalty for it, and you would get fined for it. Alternatively, if you do get board approval for any type of maintenance work or renovation work or whatnot, they're going to require you to submit an application for it, provide insurance, put like a deposit, refundable. It's literally like it's almost like you're renting, but with equity.
Yeah, and it's
so fact checked.
Okay.
Florida has some co-ops, and so does California. Those were actually the two states I was thinking. Very few, but exist. Nothing like New York, where it's like on every block you can probably find a co-op. New York City. Yeah.
Well, the whole purpose of a co-op originally when it first came out in New York was so that way the owners can manage who else is in the building. Is for really the affluent sort of people that just want to control who buys property and everything where they live. Which that's also one of the things, right? That's I think is that one of the negatives or one of the cons of buying a co-op, right? Is the fact that in order for you to get in, you literally have to go on an interview.
Yes. So that's a whole other process, right? Like while you're purchasing this property, during the contract process before you actually close, let's say you're getting a mortgage, you have to submit an application to get the mortgage. They review your file, they review your income, credit, assets. If you're buying a co-op, you're doing double that. The same review process, you're actually now going through it with the co-op board. I mean, to be honest, the logic behind it is that they want to make sure that they're allowing someone into the building that is financially sound. That can pay the maintenance. And because it's being run as a business, you can sort of understand the logic behind that. They want to have business partners that will pull their weight, because otherwise, if you don't pay, who pays when the budget is less than what they're budgeting for? The other units will have to chip in and then pay, or they have to dip into their reserve account, right? So, I get the whole logic behind all of it. What sucks is when it comes with this much power also comes abuse of power, and that's when things get bad.
Definitely we definitely want to touch upon like the pros as well as the other cons, right? I think some of the pros are typically like co-ops are sort of a lower entry point, right? They're typically a less expensive than, let's say, a condo, right? Maintenance wise, right? Maintenance is probably a little bit higher just because a lot of the maintenance cost does cover taxes on the property, some of the insurance for the properties. Obviously they tell you to get your own co-op insurance just to protect the insides. But it is a pretty sort of reasonable sort of a price point for some home buyers to come in, especially in the city. In my mind, the negatives are, like I said, you literally have to go on a board interview,
closing costs
are significantly lower.
And we're talking about closing costs in co-ops that's in New York, right? Because for those of you who don't know, if you're purchasing a property in New York and you're getting a mortgage, you have to pay mortgage tax. And typically, under a certain loan amount, mortgage tax is about 1.96 or something like that, right? There's a few smaller numbers after the 9, but let's round it up and call it 2%, right? Because co-ops are not real property, you don't have to pay this mortgage tax, and that's usually the biggest piece of your closing costs. So on a monetary, like on a financial standpoint, buying a co-op is cheaper. It's more affordable. Like Gary said, it's the entry point is lower.
Not just mortgage tax too, but like the other closing costs. Like, if you're buying $1 million condo and you're trying to get title insurance, right? How much is title insurance for that? That's probably like $4,000 or $5,000, right? Typically. If you're buying a
Probably a little
co-op,
more, I think. Yeah.
if you're buying a co-op, all you're really doing is a lien search, and lien search is anywhere from $350 up to $500. So that right there saves you thousands of dollars.
The
Um,
title expert here would, of course, know this stuff.
well, I'm just saying. I mean, we've been in the business for what, 20 years each of us, and it's just
Right.
like you sort of take a look at these. So from that standpoint, yeah, it's definitely more cost effective to buy a co-op. It's just the negatives that you have to weigh on whether it's the right investment for people. Like, do you want to
Yeah.
deal with basically? Do you want to have to deal with mom and dad again? Can I hang this up? Can I do this? Can
Oh
I
my
do
God.
this?
I personally have a horror like co-op stories because
Okay.
I lived in a co-op for I want to say maybe like 4 years, right? Or three to 4 years. And it was till this day, I'm still dealing with it. Like I'm like, trying so hard to sell it, but I need my tenant to move out first.
Oh, that's another thing too. Tenants.
Yes. So here's the thing. There, where do I even start? Let's start with the beginning horror stories. The board president is my next door neighbor. She lives next door to me. So it's constant, like, I feel like I'm constantly being surveilled, right?
Oh yeah.
And so what, I went through the co op interview and it went fine. And me being, in the business, right? Like, doing real estate, doing mortgages. When the opportunity to join the board came up, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll join the board because I know what it means to be on the board, right? I understand like what documents are needed, the different board positions. And then I realized it was a complete dictatorship. So the board president has been board president for like 25 years, right? And no one will ever run against her. She of course will say like, oh, let's call this, board meeting into quorum and like we all vote, blah blah blah. But there's no voting because if you voice your opinion, she will, and it's not the same as hers.
Mm-hmm.
She just shoots it down. Everyone else on the board is just like silent because they're used to this already. The financials is sort of a mess, so I'm trying to clean it up. And then like she's like, oh well, unless it's part of her plan, nothing's important. But then
Okay.
she also, so there's a storage unit. She's on everyone about like, oh, you have to pay the storage fee. This unit is late X, Y, and Z days. But then I find out that she's been storing all her crap in the bike room,
Oh man.
and I'm just like, what in the world? And
Rules don't
most
apply to her.
co-ops,
Rules don't
rules do
apply.
not apply to her, but she can never leave. Like, no one will ever throw their name in the hat. Because every year when or whatever the terms are, I think it was actually every 2 years, when you go to vote for a new board president, there's a meeting, like a shareholders meeting
Yeah.
for all the people that own units in the building. And there's like this form you fill out and like who you nominate or if you want to nominate yourself, whatever. She fills it out herself. She reaches out to people who know, like she knows wouldn't be there, and she's like, give me a proxy, and then she just puts her own name. Like it's insane. But
Yeah, that's not awkward at all. That's not
it,
awkward at
it's
all. Having the
it's
board president who's running for the board reach out to them, be like, "So who are you voting for? Oh, you're not voting. Well, what's your proxy? Is it me or?" That's not awkward at all.
it's so bad. And it's the crazy thing is everyone else on the board knew. They were just like I actually feel like there was like one or two board members that reached out to me and be like, Queenie, don't bother. Like it's fine. Like, there's it's whatever she says. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
start throwing names. No one knows where this address is, so you can't even look it up. But they literally like they're just like, just don't even bother.
Yeah. I mean, but that's
And I'm like, all
that's
right.
that's the thing with co-ops. It's sort of like other areas, right? You always see these horror stories about HOAs. Well, this is a HOA for co-op. Like they're just as bad. Like, they're not worried about cutting grass or right, but they're worried about like what you have on your door. You can't even put like during the holidays in certain co-ops, you can't put anything on your door to celebrate the holidays. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yep. It's and then the whole surveillance thing was crazy. Like I would come back late and like forget to grab a package. She's like, Queenie, there's a package downstairs for you. And
It's
I'm
been
like,
there for 2 days, Queenie. Like,
yeah, and
okay.
I'm just like, okay, like
You're like, oh.
I'll go get it. Thank you.
Meanwhile,
Another,
she's your
it's
neighbor.
still
She could
there,
literally,
Queenie. I'm like, all right.
she could literally picked it up and just brought it to your door and be like, "Here you go, Queenie," since she lives right next
Oh,
door to
I
you.
don't even want her to because she wants a thank you and like a gift for everything she does. Like it's just so it's so crazy. Constantly, oh, I remember your son's birthday every year, and I'm like, here's a gold medal for that.
Here's a participation trophy. Here you go.
It
But
was it's just, that wasn't fun. But that's on like the other side of getting a co-op. Not all co-ops are like this, right? There are some co-op boards are, they're just friendly and they're nice and you can talk
mhm.
to them and things are all, dandy. It just
Yeah,
sucks when it's a coin toss,
you know what's
right? You
actually
don't
funny?
know.
You actually said you actually mentioned that, right? And obviously being uh when I was a loan officer for 22 years and just working in the city, it's like you actually see certain co-ops that are, like you said, very like laid back, very like, yeah, sure, no problem, whatever you guys need. And usually those are the ones like that are either downtown, Lower East Side, things like that. The real uppity ones, no offense to anybody that lives in them, but I feel like it's sort of like Midtown and up, like Upper West Side and things like that. It's just
Hmm.
it's like you said, they literally run it like a business.
Yeah.
And the other ones that are down in Lower East Side, I mean, obviously they have their own issues. They're like HDFC co-ops and things like that. Um, you're like, yeah, those things. But yeah, they're just like everyday people that they just want to sort of just, live their lives and just do the minimum amount of work and be like, yeah, as long as they're good people, we'll let them in. That type of thing. But I want to touch upon sort of like the co-ops, right? Like, how does that affect the financing aspect, right? Like you touched upon it briefly, right? You have to do double the process, right?
Hmm.
You go through your underwriting and all that stuff. But what I've noticed, right, within ever since really right before COVID and after, where it's like when I first got in the business, there was, you know, if you get a co-op and they go through an interview, more times than not, you get approved. It was during right before COVID to right after COVID where I saw an increase of people being like, yeah, I didn't get approved on a co-op board. And I literally sit there, I'm like, what? It'd be like the most unexpected outcome because like you have these people that make significant incomes, good credit, quiet people, and they
Why
just get
why didn't
declined.
they get approved,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, and they don't have to tell you a reason.
Exactly. Here's that other nuance with co-ops. They literally could deny you living in the building. I'm not even going to try to make it sound nice where it's like, oh, deny your application. They can say, no, we will not allow you to buy in this building to live here. And I'm not going to tell you why.
Yeah, I don't have to tell you why. That's what's
Like,
crazy.
you're just denied. It could be for any reason.
Yeah, you're denied. You just wasted 3 months of your life. That's basically what it was.
The craziest thing that I actually saw one time, and this only happened once, was when I had a client looking to buy a co-op. It was like $2.5 million. It wasn't like some cheap, whatever co-op. Like it's very luxury, high-end co-op. And it took, like three months because from board submittal, from getting the
Sports.
commitment letter from the
Mhm.
bank to board submittal to board review to board interview, it took like 3 months. So obviously the client's mortgage contingency had been satisfied by then.
Mhm.
And the seller actually, I don't think the seller took the entire 10% of the down payment, but they did keep some of it, I think half. That's $100,000
Wait,
because
after
you
they got
satisfy the
declined,
mortgage contingency. Yeah,
but they got declined by the board, right?
correct. But there was nothing in the contract that protected them against that, and they satisfied the mortgage contingency. So the seller actually kept some of the down payment. So just something to flag
That's
when
a
you're
scam
buying in
right
a
there.
co-op.
That's legit a scam.
It was very sad because this couple that was buying the property, they were so nice and like very, very well qualified, affluent, great careers, great employment. Like it was bizarre. But the seller did keep some of the down payment. And look, at that point, I don't know who is to blame. Like, did you just have a bad attorney, that didn't negotiate a good enough contract for you? Did you just have a bad attorney that didn't negotiate for you after the fact when you got board approval, that you would lose part of your down payment over something that has nothing to do with you?
Yeah, nothing you could control.
And I mean, albeit for people who's looking to buy co-ops, don't get scared off by this as if like, oh my God, now I'm running the risk of that. Because it's actually quite standard for you to be protected in those cases.
But they have to do their due diligence, though. You have to and plus you need a real estate agent that really knows sort of about the neighborhood and about these boards, right?
And a real estate attorney that knows how to protect you in cases like that. Because if you had a real estate attorney who doesn't understand how co-ops work, right? They'll put a mortgage contingency into your contract, but fail to protect you on other aspects. For example, board denial, right? And they're thinking, well, you're already protected. We have a mortgage contingency. No, you're not, right? But like we just said, it's quite standard. If you're buying a co-op, that would be in there, where if it's denied due to anything that's not your problem, that's not you causing this, then you should be able to pull out even after you satisfy the mortgage contingency. So that was really sad.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that also comes to how the seller is, right? Because if I'm a seller of the property and we're in contract and everything's going smoothly, you're clear to close, then all of a sudden my co-op board declines you. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't be the one to be like, I'm keeping your money. Like, I'm sorry, but that seller's just in.
Yep, so many words.
Yeah, that's
It's messed up. It's absolutely messed up.
But there are certain times too that I've heard, right? And there was one co-op denial that I remember that happened, and I was speaking, and the buyers they wound up buying another property, they closed and all that stuff. And I remember after that, I sat down with the referral partner at that time. We're having lunch and we're talking. I'm like, oh, did you ever find out what happened? And I remember that the co-op president declined them because she wanted her friend to move in.
But they can.
They can. Crazy.
So I heard through the Little Birdie grapevine that there are changes coming down the pipe that can potentially, change that, where co-ops have absolute, authority to just deny applications or whatnot without explaining why and this and that. Like, I don't know if that's true. Someone had told me nothing's really gone down the pipe yet, but that would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Oh, so you had mentioned before the after COVID thing, or before COVID, some of the board denials. One of the more bizarre ones that I've been seeing is, I don't like the purchase price, so we're going to deny it.
Yeah.
I think you're selling for too low. I mean, look, I understand. I get the logic because, the co-op's being run as a business. So if you are now selling a unit at too low of a price, it kind of brings down the value of the other units in the building. So it's almost like you're fighting against yourself, right? Like, why would I approve this if I think all the units here is worth $1 million and you're selling it for $700,000? Now you're bringing down the value of the other comparable units in the building. So the next person that wants to sell is going to have a more difficult time. Like, yada yada. I get all that stuff. I still think that's a little bit of like market manipulation, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. You're controlling the values, and that goes back to the original purpose of the co-ops was for affluent people to control who's buying in their properties. Yeah. So I do think, I mean, it really comes down to a matter of having the right agent, right? That knows the co-op board and knows whether these things are going to pass. Because that's crazy. I mean...
Yeah. Anywho, I feel like we just spent the whole episode just ragging on co-ops. Like, I mean, the truth is,
They're
it's
great.
there
They're
are
great
some
property.
great co-ops, right? There are some really nice luxury co-ops. There are some really great boards out there. If we're just talking about the nuance of a co-op, yes, these
Hmm.
are things to look out for, right? But in no way am I saying, hey, like stay away from co-ops. Like I personally, I bought one and I loved my co-op. Like it was convenient,
Hmm.
it was affordable, the unit itself looked great, right? Like everything was great about it. It's just that the co-op board. And not
Yeah,
even the co-op board. It's the board president. It's one person, right?
but they hold
So
all the power, and that's the thing.
they do, but it's also like, hey, you know, if you really love the property, what are you gonna do, right? Like
Yeah,
you're gonna let one person, like there's pros and cons with everything. You can buy a condo in a great building and all the boxes are checked, and you have that one annoying neighbor that lives upstairs from you that
hmm,
just like dances all day, right? Like you never know until you kind of get into it. So I don't want to deter anyone from buying co-ops. It's just the whole point of this is really like for people who don't understand the difference. We're
yeah,
telling you the pros and cons. We're telling you the differences, and then also some tips on things to look out for or to flag ahead of time to just kind of maybe save you a little bit of grief along the process. But it's
yeah.
not saying, hey, don't buy co-ops. Like,
Don't buy co-ops. It's like I said, it's a very good entry point for first time home buyers and things like that. People that I feel like should not be looking towards co-ops are definitely investors because co-ops a lot of the times don't allow investment
yes,
units unless
very strict.
yeah, very strict regarding rental units. The I think the only caveats that I've seen are like if you're buying like in your situation, right? You bought it to live there and then you've lived there for at least a year and then you're saying, well, I don't want to sell it, I want to rent it out. Like that's
But
some
there's still
co-ops will allow that.
restrictions to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
They so my co-op allowed that, but they only allowed me to rent out for 2 years. So now I have to tell my tenant, "Hey, your 2 years is up. I'm not going to be able to renew you. Find another place to live."
yeah.
But even if this is a conversation that I had with the tenant from the beginning, right? Let's say once they sign the lease, I'm like, "Hey, I can only give you a 2 year lease, and we will not be able to extend afterwards." No one knows what's going to happen in life over those 2 years. So what
Hmm.
if the tenant is in a position right now where he can't find another place to live for whatever the reasons are, right? Like it's just it's difficult for him to find another place. So what now? Like am I supposed to just kick him out into the street? Like or well, knowing co-ops or my co-op, they're probably just going to make me pay like a fine every month, which is now going to cut into my expenses, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, those are little things. But of course, all of this is disclosed ahead of time, right? You can get the copy of the rule book, the bylaws before you purchase. So you know exactly, like, you know, also don't get us wrong. Like, these aren't surprises that kind of get sprung up on you while you're living there. These are things that you could fact check and know what the rules are before you buy. But yes, there are rules with, especially as investment with co-ops.
Yeah. So the other
Unless, of
question too.
course, it's like an investment heavy co op, right? Where there's
Yeah.
like a bunch of investors that buy in there. But then there's a downside to that too. Because
Hmm.
when you're going to get a mortgage or you want to sell and you so happen to sell to someone that wants to live there and they're trying to get a mortgage, good luck
Yeah.
with
All the
that.
investor
You
conversations
know?
and things like that.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation
Yeah,
we can have
it
another
is.
time.
But then
Yeah.
I guess what some people want to know is like which one holds value better, condo versus co-op in New York specifically.
Mm, my knee jerk response would be condos. But I personally, though, my very political response to this
Hmm.
is I think it's New York City, so all properties hold value very well.
Okay, okay, that's a good one. Well,
You know, I don't think, you know, according to who, Chat?
according to ChatGPT, it says that for investment or growth, condos typically offer greater potential for appreciation, easier resale due to flexibility and broader market, which makes sense, right?
Yes.
For stability and community, co-ops offer a more stable, protected environment and lower initial entry, which we said. It's ideal for longer-term owner-occupiers who value community over rental income and traditionally hold value better in a down market. So,
Interesting. That last part
yeah.
I did not expect. Um,
Well, just because, like you said, co-op boards, they you know,
They can control it.
they control what the
Yeah.
values are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that would make sense now. I just didn't expect that.
Mm-mm.
Because they can just
Mm-mm.
say if it's a down market and everything's depreciating, they can just be like, no, we're holding steady. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're not going to let it depreciate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite interesting. Look at
Yeah.
chat, always having the answers.
Well, look at ChatGPT. There you go. We love
I
it.
can't live without chat.
Can we get sponsored by ChatGPT?
I
That'd be
can
amazing
do
if we
like
could.
episodes, and we can plug chat into every single episode if we get sponsored by them, because I honestly like, I think it's they're like scary accurate, and I forget about accurate. They're scary informative.
I was like, I don't know
Oh,
how accurate they are because, like, have you tried that new trend of like,
I was just
draw
about to show
draw me a
you.
caricature of me and what you think my job is based on everything you know.
Yeah.
Like, I posted mine, I was like, oh, okay, kind of interesting.
I did mine, and I actually kind of love it. I think it's so funny. Um, I mean, I had to like tweak it a little bit and be like, oh, add this or put that in there. Um, but
So it
yeah, I
wasn't.
can't.
So it wasn't accurate if you had to add.
Well, the first, I can, you know what? Do it side by side. You can see both. But yes, it was good. It was actually really cute.
Okay.
But I have seen other people post theirs on Instagram where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's totally you, and then someone was like, I don't know, but it's cute. Like just a little bit on that. I remember one of the things when Chat GPT, at least for me, I first started using it. Um, I felt like images was the one thing they were just so off about. They were so off about like, creating images, right? On that like
Hmm.
marketing standpoint, they've really stepped up their game with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um,
Definitely is.
yeah, way to go, chat.
Way to go, chat. Thank you for providing us with much needed insight every single episode. But I think we've talked about co-ops enough. Is there anything you want to add before we sign off?
Again, I want to just encourage everyone who is listening, who is watching, to keep the questions coming, keep the stories coming, because that's what's going to fuel us to
Hmm.
speak about the next topic. As bizarre and crazy as it may sound, actually, the more bizarre and crazy it is, the more welcomed it is, because I like
Yeah.
to be surprised. Like, Gary, I feel like your story this time is like a little lackluster compared to the last one. I
They
like
can't
I
all
like to
be
have
poopy
something a
stories.
little crazy.
They can't all be poopy stories. Which here's a side story for you guys. Speaking of not being able to sleep, so we're recording this the day after the Super Bowl. So I went to sleep early right after the Super Bowl. Got woken up a few times. My dog was really, for some odd reason, really needed to go to the bathroom. So I was like, okay. So woke up, let her out. This was around midnight. Came back, went back to sleep. Around 1 o'clock came, scratching me again. Okay. Woke up, let her out. This time she's just outside staring, sniffing the air. And meanwhile, right now, last night we were still in, a significant extreme cold weather state,
Yes.
right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this dog doing? So finally the dog walked around, came back, and I'm like, what was that? You didn't even do anything. So I was like, go outside, do your business. Went outside, didn't want to do anything, came back. I was like, all right, whatever. Went back to sleep. Woke up this morning to my sunroom, which is where I'm recording right now, and it's just dog poop everywhere.
Oh my god.
So there's
You know,
your poopy story. There is your poopy story.
I wasn't asking for a poopy story. I was asking for a funny, bizarre, ridiculous story. All of a sudden now you just associate me with poop. And for those of you who don't know, when we started our new season and our Chaos Corner, the first story that, Gary decided to disclose
Well, they should just go back
triggered a
and-
lot of poop questions. It triggered a lot of poop questions. So if you guys are curious, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of poop questions, you know, and now all of a sudden, you know, you just want to tell me all the poop stories. Great.
Yeah. Till next time.
Yeah. I hope you have a good air freshener in your sunroom.
Again with the poopy talk.
I'm just saying, I'm
We're
watching out for
renaming this.
you. I'm watching out for you and your, you know, olfactory senses.
Well, in a few months you'll be elbow deep in poop. So.
Oh, God.
Say.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Oh,
Get the stories. DM us, message us, give us stories, give us topics, give us ideas, and
Yes.
we will talk about it.
All right.
Thank you.
Till next time.
Till next time.